Hey there, what's happening YouTube? Thanks for stopping back by the channel today, right here with the Rustbelt Mechanic. So, today we're here talking about the old Duramax, talking about the compound kit that I got put on from HSP, as well as the secondary turbo that was put on, again, from Ryan's Diesel Service. Give you guys an overview of the truck today, what my thoughts have been after driving this thing around for about the last month and a half, see the pluses and minuses to it, and see if it's right for what you guys are looking at for your ride. Sorry, it's going to be a little bit different today just because I didn't want to get out my big camera and everything for riding here in the truck, and riding here in the truck just gave me all of the things just coming out of my mind and what I wanted to be able to say to you guys about the truck from what I've experienced over the last month. If you are new to the channel and you have not been tuned in, I have a 2006 Chevy Silverado 2500 HD with the old Duramax in it. Things that I have done to it: we took the whole cab off, we took the heads off the motor, we studded it, we put better valve springs in it, cleaned everything out. We had an intake piping kit and a 68mm turbo from Ryan's Diesel Service before, and now we changed it over to the newer setup. We were also run 60 over injectors from Bitterroot Diesel, but lately I decided, and we went with a new kit from HSP. We decided to go with the compound turbo kit from them, same color that I went with before, in the like gunmetal gray area. And then we decided to do some changing around on what we did with the turbos. The turbo down in the valley, like I said before, was a 68mm race turbo from Ryan's Diesel Service. And I've talked multiple times about that turbo before and what it's good for and what my application was. It's not really the best for, but it worked for what I wanted to do for video purposes. For you guys who are kind of tossing up in the air whether to go with a big turbo kit or whether to go with a compound turbo kit, I have, first-hand knowledge of that one. Having that first one, the 68mm race turbo, which it is a 6871 from Ryan's, it was an awesome turbo. That thing screamed. I love the sound of it. The sound of it was absolutely amazing. I couldn't say enough about it. And the spool up time, yes, there was quite a bit of delay on that one. And that is not for, me buying the wrong turbo or anything. If anything, Ryan, when I talked to him prior to getting that one, actually tried to steer me away from that one because of my daily driving of this truck. I do daily drive it. It's not just like a weekend fun kind of thing. I drive it every day. So he actually tried to steer me away from it, but you know what? For YouTube purposes and filming, it made for really good content, and the fact that I had that knowledge under my belt. So I drove it around for a while. The spool up time on it was, it had some spool up time. It took about 4.5 seconds or so to spool up to, just about anything of where it really needed to be. And then when the boost actually kicked in, it really kicked you in the butt. It really let loose, and I absolutely love the sound of it. I can't say enough about the sound. Having that big whistling turbo is just, you can't get past that sound. I loved it. So I drove it around, and the biggest issue that I had with that one was, yes, the boost, and then also the fuel mileage, because, in a lot of the day-to-day aspect of driving that one around, it was a hard daily driver. It used a lot more fuel on the bottom end because it wasn't spooled up enough all the time. To be able to keep it spooled up, the tuning that I had on it had the vane position dialed way up to be able to do that. However, on these Duramax turbos, being that they're a VGT, when you dial up that vane position, what does it do? It creates more back pressure for when it's running, especially in the lower RPM ranges, and especially when you're on the interstate. the interstate driving was probably one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to get away from that big single turbo. Being on the interstate, it would run right around 1150, 1200 degrees for my exhaust gas temperatures. EGTs were just way too high, and I don't drive this thing on the interstate all that much, but I drive it enough for it to really matter and really make a difference. So when I would take it up to Wisconsin, or when I take it up to Michigan to see Truckmaster, I just had that bad feeling that I was doing damage to my engine being that high of EGTs. It's not good for your engine to run that high. So another thing to look out for you guys who are looking at those single big turbos is to keep your EGTs kind of down. You're gonna have to, you know, watch the style of driving that you actually do while using that turbo. So with all those things said, that's why I decided to go over to HSP, and the guys over there are absolutely amazing. If you do ever get the chance to talk to them, Joe, which is the owner, I'll be doing a video with them on their insights and the real inner workings of HSP coming out here real soon also. Got that one that I'm kind of working on. So if you get the chance to talk to them, they are an amazing group of guys. If you're able to talk to their tech department, Scott over there, he is a huge book of knowledge. He does a really good job at what he does. So we ended up going with the HSP kit from them, the compound kit. Now, of course, you have to change out the Valley turbo, because for a daily driver truck, you don't want a giant 68mm turbo down in the valley and then an even bigger turbo off to the side. Yeah, that's great for and all for like race applications, but daily driver, not so much. So we took the Ryan's turbo out from the valley, and Ryan actually got us a newer, better turbo for that application. We ended up going with his 6466 with high flow vanes, and we put that turbo down in the valley. And when I say we, I actually didn't do it this time. Yes, I had my cab off before, and I could have done all this, but I didn't have the time. So Matt at Diesel Pros up in Michigan, he is the one who actually did that. Yeah, I'll link the video to that one up here. Yeah, I'll put it up there. So he put that in, 6466 in the valley, and then the other turbo that is I actually got from HSP is a Borg-Warner S475 with a 115 exhaust housing. Now, usually when you go to order these bigger turbos, they come with a couple of different options for their exhaust housings. So the standard one is like a 132. Now that one, it takes more time for the boost to build on it, but it does build more boost in the end. However, I was wanting something a little bit more on the streetable side. So we went with a 115. You are able to still get an 090 housing also, but I think going middle of the road was pretty good, especially from coming from a one big turbo application. And I'm glad we did. We ended up getting everything dialed in, and it turned out going absolutely fantastic. Once we got everything dialed in with the boost pressure, the blow-off valve, and all of the boost controller, it all worked out really well. Watch the video where I talked to Matt about having the install process and how gorgeous this kit was. But I am absolutely thrilled with having it, how it turned out. Now, I've put about 1,200 or so miles on the truck since then, and it is driving amazing. It keeps the EGTs down. In town driving, I stick at, you know, 500-600 or 500-600 degrees, somewhere around there. And then, as you guys can see right now, the EGTs, we're sitting at like 380, sitting here at a light after driving for the last 10 minutes. When we get up to speed, so just sitting here at like 35 mile an hour, we're dropping below 700 degrees, 600 degrees. So EGTs are awesome. When I get it onto the interstate, EGTs, they're actually really good also. I keep my EGTs down below like 1,000 degrees. So they sit right around 950 degrees or so when I am at constant 70 mile an hour speed, even with the trans in full lockup. Before that, I had to put it into manually fifth and unlock the trans, unlock the torque converter, because it would just get way too bogged down and EGTs would get absolutely crazy. So now EGTs are exactly where they need to be. Sorry there, I had to pick up groceries. Now let's talk about what we have in fuel mileage. Prior to this compound setup from the big 1 turbo, we went from having, I had an average of right around 12.5 to 13 miles a gallon. That's a mixture of in town and driving about 15-20 miles on the interstate or so. Not really anything big, and I definitely didn't fill up very often. I only filled up once about every 3 weeks. Still same driving now with the compound setup. I'm getting about 1.5 miles a gallon better fuel mileage. With the better tuning on top of that, it's probably helping on that with the low end boost that's coming from the smaller turbo. Keeping the air pressure build up at the small end is probably what's helping on that one. Tuning on this one, obviously I had to have different tuning than I did before on the bigger turbo. Tuning, I went with the company I will put down in the description below. We don't need to talk about that too much, but I would definitely recommend for you guys to get trans tuning if you don't have trans tuning already. One of the biggest things that I see in the truck and how it performs now is how the trans shifts along with where the boost pressure really comes in. So I definitely recommend for you guys to look into trans tuning if you haven't already also. But here in just a second, we're getting ready to get on the interstate. Let's see how this thing accelerates. All right, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna get till we're going just straight here, and I think we're gonna 30 roll so you guys can see exactly what kind of numbers we're talking about. And we are on tune 3. All right, 30 roll. There we go. You guys heard that blow-off valve. Oh man, that is the big kick in the pants I love feeling every time I just romp into this compound turbo kit. God, I love it so much. Love it a whole lot. And even here on the interstate, like if I want to pass somebody real quick and I'm just doing 65 and I get it to downshift, the acceleration is amazing. I freaking love it, guys. Absolutely love how this thing performs. And on top of that, if you guys were wondering how dirty is it when we go to mash the gas from a 30 roll, we have very, very little coming out the tailpipe. It is not a dirty tune whatsoever. This thing has a very clean tune to it, but all that power, all that sound is just amazing to hear every single time I do it. Just lighting the fire under the ass of this Duramax. Whew, hot damn. So now we've talked a lot about the drivability of this whole setup. Now, what about the cost difference? The cost difference is going to be quite a bit different when you're going from that one single turbo all the way up through this compound setup. The compound setup, obviously, got a lot more moving parts, you got a lot more sensors, you have a boost control module, you got all kinds of other shit to go with it, so yeah, it's obviously going to cost a lot more. So if you go with the kit through HSP, depends on how you spec out the turbo and what you need for the kit, but you're going to be looking at just over $5 grand. Yeah, that's pretty average right around there, so it is pretty costly. But you know, compared to what your budget is, you're gonna have to look at the weighting of what you want performance-wise, reliability, efficiency of your engine, and how everything works compared to, you know, what kind of cost you're looking at. Now, I know there's some other systems than which, you know, if you go with a bigger turbo, yes, those are expensive too. You know, with that 68mm turbo, you're probably looking at $2,200-$2,300, right around there. And, you know, maybe a couple of other add-ons, but at the same time, it's gonna cost you quite a bit more for the compound setup. So you do have to keep that one in mind. But the other thing that you gotta keep in mind is, let's have a look here. Look how pretty that is. You can't really beat the look of that right there. and it is absolutely gorgeous. It works fantastic. The only thing that I really had a hiccup with is here, the low fluid sensor in the coolant expansion tank right here. Had a little bit of issue trying to get that to seal up, but eventually we got enough goop and tape on it to be able to seal it up just fine. But yeah, one sweet ride. We're also gonna have to figure out something to do with up here, because as you can see where the blow-off valve is, yep, we're gonna have to do something about that. We'll have to see. So down in the comments below, what should I do with under the hood? Should we do some kind of a plexiglass insert there? Should we do a mirrored insert? Or should we just rip it out and say screw it and just leave it alone? I don't know. Leave a comment down below. Well guys, hopefully that's been enough information for you guys to be able to make up your minds on a decision whether you would like to go with, you know, either that single turbo or the compound turbo kit from HSP. I've done quite a bit of research on this one, and I've been quite a bit of testing and extensive driving on it. So those have been all of my views on this kit. I really love it. I won't be changing it for quite some time. I know I said that with the one turbo, but you know what? I think I'm pretty stuck on how well this compound turbo kit works right now. So if you guys have any other questions about it, please feel free to leave those in the comments below. I will answer those to the best of my ability, or I'll get Ryan from Ryan's Diesel or Joe from HSP to come on and answer any of the other questions that you guys may or may not have about the build. So thank you for tuning in today. I appreciate it. So stay tuned. We've got all kinds of more awesome content coming for the channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on that bell notification for when I come out with cool, awesome content like this. You will get notified on that one. I don't want to leave you guys hanging here with no awesome content or action footage of the Duramax, so let's go get some action to close this thing out. You guys stay awesome.